Brothers and sisters, it is a gorgeous day. Now take a nice deep breath in. We have a lot to talk about today. Make sure you have a seat for this one. No fingers being pointed back at me as usual. Hold. Put the pressure on your lungs. And release, family. Do I have something interesting to share with you? So, this is history in the making, literally. This is history in the making as I speak this into existence. Right now, we are in a very crucial time in history, which is either going to make or break America. So, I've been doing some studying today, and why does history repeat itself? And it's quite simple. These are things you need to learn. And I will put the channel that I'm actually studying right now, because this man's absolutely genius when it comes to economics, and it motivates me to go back to college. I want to learn more. Anyhow, so right now, as you know, China is getting very powerful by the moment. Every day China gets stronger. Okay? And now look back in history. Why was Hitler why was he even voted into office? It's because there was a debt crisis, a national debt crisis, and he was for the people of Germany. So the Germans were like, "Oh, Heil Hitler." You know what I mean? And he was a Führer, so he went to war. And this is where history repeats itself. We are overdue. We are way overdue for a war right now. Now, what does war do? War stimulates the economy. So, if and when it happens, and what else causes war? And look right now what's happening. Lack of education. Lack of education in the education system, that is inevitably going to lead to war. Now, the reason why we always have this left to right swing, which means we have a Republican and then we have a liberal that come into power while they play golf on the weekends, by the way. So anyhow, so you have the Republicans, because we have something called the GDP, which is basically like, I understand, I understand it. I don't quite understand it, but based on what I learned, you have something called inflation, and you have not inflation, pardon me, but there are three things that you need to understand about the GDP, and that is that it goes like this, and this is called long-term debt that normally goes like this, and then you have short-term debt, which is a squiggle, and then you have I can't remember, it's off the top of my head right now. I'm gonna look back into it because I want to understand it completely. And this was just basically a crash course. So right now, well, back in the 1930s, every society has had this collapse. Ours was in 2008. So when we hit rock bottom, and we're almost there. We're almost there, and as I said, now listen, we're almost there. Now, what am I talking about? Where are we almost there? We're very close to war, and this is how the cycle repeats itself. Listen, I promise you, you will not regret listening to this. So the reason why this keeps repeating itself is because, okay, so we had the Dutch Empire, then we had the British Empire, right? And the British Empire was challenged by, well, Hitler and his empire that he made, then the Germans. So that created America on top. So pretend like you see the flags and America's on top. Then comes Russia just above China, and then China, and then so on and so on. Okay, but then you have a new world order every time this happens. Okay, so the new world order is not quite what you think. It's not actually. We're in a new world. We're in a world order right now. Okay, so that means history is about to repeat itself. What does war do? War stimulates the economy. Now, what do we have? Lack of education systems in America. When we have lack of education, war is inevitable. But right now, who's to say that our children are not being taught how, because I was taught all about strategy as 5 or 6 years old. So I understand like war like the back of my hand, because this is what I was taught. So what are we teaching our children right now? We're preparing them for World War III. That's honest truth. Family, now you know. War does a lot of things, a lot of positive things, also obviously, inevitably, a lot of negative things, but it stimulates the economy. And so China rising right now. What if I'm going to predict the future, and I'm going to make a pretty bold prediction that China is going to step up to America and probably try to burn us. But that is so important right now that you understand this, and the decline. And right now we actually have a decline in birth rates. So it's quite simply put, and simply, it's so easy to understand this. All you need to do is see how many children were born last year. So go back to World War II briefly. Why do you think that there are so many Russian women that are single, that are coming over to the United States? And I understand, I completely understand. They're not bad people. There's just not enough Russian men to start a war. So Putin, that was a really stupid move. You're going to be losing more men. And if we go into war, if for some reason we get pulled into this war, we're going to have to squash them like bugs. And I don't want that. But inevitably, you will be seeing World War III, and I give it less than 10 years. I give it about 4 to 5. I'm thinking 4 to 5 years at the very most, to the very least. 4 to 5 years, we're looking at World War III. And this is all just the beginning. So prepare yourself. Brothers and sisters, a little history lesson. History repeats itself because we can't get out of the process of debt. It goes so deep, but that's a little crash course, and I'm going to make another video on this because it's just so interesting to see history repeating itself all over again. Brothers and sisters, with that said, family first, family first. Shout out to my family. Peace be with you, and also with you. Happy Sunday. Have a great day, and stay blessed.